Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies I love, the alternative B-rated cult style flicks. And this one definitely has a cult following, and definitely was an underrated movie. This movie came out in 1996, and it was directed by Simon Windsor, and written by Jeffrey Boehm, based on The Phantom by Lee Falk, produced by Robert Evans and Alan Ladd Jr., made by the Ladd Company, Village Roadshow Pictures, and Hearst Entertainment, and distributed by Paramount Pictures. Ladies and gentlemen,
The Phantom.
The movie opens with a narration by Patrick McCoonan, who plays the Phantom's father in this movie, and he's telling us about how the Phantom started. A young boy 400 years ago witnessed his father murdered by pirates, and managed to escape to an island where the natives took him up, taught him how to exact his revenge, and he became the Phantom. Couldn't you guys just give him some ice cream? Then we fast forward to 1938 to the Bengala jungle, where we see a couple of bandits, led by Quill, played by James Renner, and his accomplice Morgan, played by Casey Seismico. And they are driving through the jungle with their child guide. When they come upon a really rickety bridge, they decide to have themselves and the two other bandits go across the bridge on foot, but as far as the truck, it needs to get across the bridge. So who's going to drive it? Not a frickin' chance. Luckily, the kid makes it across.
Okay, back in the truck.
Spoken like a true warrior. They get as far as they can go in the truck, which for me would have been the other side of that bridge. And the kid tries to warn them.
He says we can't go on. These woods are protected.
You really want to scare him? Tell him it's John Kinney. The kid doesn't want to go any further, so they tie him up and put him in the back of the truck while they go explore a cave.
Got it. Mr. Drax is going to be very happy.
Batista's in this movie? Oh wait, no, it's not that Drax, never mind. After he tosses that silver skull to Quill... It's your fault. You were supposed to say every little syllable. Even though one of their people just died, they decide to stick around and steal more stuff, which gives the Phantom time to get to them. Which is what happens when you get greedy. Morgan asks who that guy in the purple was. Quill says he knows who that is. It's a guy he killed years ago. Good job, by the way.
At least he's behind us.
Wrong again. Morgan tries to shoot him. You may ask, why didn't he just have the window up in a situation like that? Because it was 1938. They didn't have air conditioning. Quill is able to fight him off for a bit.
Keep the truck!
Oh, so now the truck is not that important? As the truck is going down the bridge... Yeah, it figures. The Phantom goes to save the kid as the bridge is breaking, and that truck is wrapped in the ropes, barely hanging on. You know, this reminds me of that one movie where we saw a situation like that, them hanging out in the middle of a cliff, holding a hand, desperately trying to save a life. And the hero of the story has to go on the rest, knowing that he couldn't hold on. That poor raccoon. But in this case, the Phantom is able to pull him up and swing to the other side of the cliff. Just as... And then everybody pees. Then we see the Phantom's true identity, Kit Walker, played by Billy Zane, talking to his father about how not only did he lose the Silver Skull, but he lost it to a member of the Sang Brotherhood.
They've tried and failed to get their hands on those skulls for the last 400 years!
Oh, Kit, you are so lucky your father doesn't have any archers right now. Or a window he could throw you out of.
They don't have all three.
Yeah, so don't worry, Dad. Have a brave heart. The other two skulls they need are the Jade and Gold Skull. Combined, they have great power that somebody could use to take over the world! Not to mention they all look really cool. Kit's servant walks in just as his father disappears, letting us know that his father is a ghost. Or phantom, if you will. Then we go to New York, Long Island, where a Diana Palmer, played by Chrissy Swanson, is returning home to her aunt and uncle. They are rich because he owns a newspaper. Which does make sense. Back then, newspapers were big business. Diana gets back from the Yukon as they are having a charity event. But as Diana leaves to go get some food because she is famished, we get a little treat. Treat Williams, who plays Xander Drax, a gangster that Mr. Palmer is not happy about being at his party. So Mr. Palmer goes to Drax and tells him that he wants him to leave. Drax, though, is there for a purpose. He has a bone to pick with Mr. Palmer and his Tribune, poking into his business, trying to dig up the dirt on him and his illegal activities. So what does Drax plan to do about this? He wants to buy the newspaper. Of course, Mr. Palmer says it's not for sale.
I usually get what I want.
Do you? Because I don't imagine you wanted this part. Mr. Palmer pulls the police chief aside and tells him that he was going to go to the jungle to investigate what Drax is up to. But now he feels like he can't leave with Drax here by himself. So Diana offers to go.
I want to go.
There's no vampires in the jungle, Buffy. So now that this is settled, the police chief goes home.
You were right, Mr. Drax.
As the plane that Diana is on is nearing the jungle, a couple of other planes come along to intercept it and make it land in the water. And we see one of the sky pirates is Sala, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones. And of course, she is there for Diana. Then we see a Captain Harton, who is there as basically jungle police, telling the Phantom about the plane that was intercepted and how only one person was taken. And that one person was Diana Palmer.
Diana Palmer? From New York?
He knows her. Then we see where they've taken Diana.
People, are you crazy? Do you realize how many laws you've broken?
Are you serious right now? So of course the Phantom goes to rescue her, and once he gets to Diana and unties her, Sala pulls a gun!
There's an old jungle saying, never point a gun at someone because it just might go off.
Well, he's quick.
I like that in a man.
Most women don't. Didn't even break a nail. When Diana and the Phantom reach the surface of the ship, they encounter Quill and his men. And it's then that Billy Zane shows that he's a Billy badass! And of course, they fight him off and a chase ensues. But with the help of some of the Phantom's jungle friends, they are able to escape Quill and his men. And the Phantom takes Diana to his lair. Once they are there, Captain Horton shows up, and Diana shows him a piece of paper that she came to this jungle to find out more about.
You're mixed up with the Sang Brotherhood, Diana.
For her safety, Captain Horton and the Phantom decide to send Diana back to New York. But by the time she gets there, Quill and Salah are already in New York, explaining to Drax about the Phantom. Quill is telling Drax that he is immortal, and he knows this because he already killed him once!
See this hole? That's where I stuck him with a 12-inch blade.
If you haven't put it together yet, he killed Kit Walker's father. Then we get a look at who else is in New York. Kit Walker, fresh from the jungle. In fact, because he's fresh from the jungle, he doesn't have any American currency. He pays his cab driver in jewels. But of course tells him that since I paid you a bunch of jewels, I'm retaining your services. As he takes him to the Tribune.
Kit.
Hello, Diana.
He didn't disguise his voice even a little bit. And let's face it, Billy Zane has a very distinct voice. How did she not recognize you? Not to mention, even the cowl doesn't cover up enough of your face to where I wouldn't recognize you. Not only does she not recognize his voice or face, but Kit starts exchanging info about the skull. While he's describing the silver skull, the other man in the room, Jimmy Wells, says that he saw something like that once, but it was green, or jade if you will, and it was at his 12th birthday party.
The Museum of World History.
This rich bastard getting a 12th birthday party at a museum. You know what I got for my 12th birthday? I got to turn 12. They get into the cab that, let's face it, Kit pretty much just bought, and head to the museum. But in the back of the cab, Diana has to get something off her chest.
You just vanished, Kit.
Almost like a phantom. When they get to the museum, they find the jade skull very quickly, but it's cased in a glass display.
Take a day or two, but
Problem solved.
I'll take that, thank you.
New problem. Drax puts the silver and jade skull together, and the two skulls show the location of the third one, the gold skull. So Drax needs to get ready to go out and find it. But first, he takes Kit and Diana with him back to his office. And the cab driver that Kit paid in jewels follows them back to Drax's. Which, I will say, for that many jewels, you bet your ass you did. At Drax's office...
Stop it! Don't hurt him!
Why do you deliver your lines like you're in a cartoon? Drax tells Quill to take Kit upstairs and get information about him. Who he is, why he's there, and why he wants the skulls. On the way upstairs... Kit runs off and they follow! So, are they going to do the Superman-Batman thing from that time where they just pretend like they don't put two and two together and realize that this guy who just showed up unannounced, mysterious, out of nowhere, leaves and suddenly they got a superhero to deal with? Downstairs, Drax takes the location that he saw on the map and figures out where the skull is. It's in the Devil's Vortex, which is this movie's version of the Bermuda Triangle. Don't know why they didn't just go with Bermuda Triangle. It's an actual place. It's not like it's copyrighted. It's not like in a video I'd have to call Canada Maple Land so that I don't get sued. Quinn comes in to tell Drax what happened.
Drax, Phantom's in the building.
And it must be that Kit Walker guy. They decide to bring Diana as a hostage.
She's our Phantom insurance.
Dude, if you needed a policy, I know a guy. The Phantom chases after them. You see, kids, even though he's trying to save his woman and the world, there's always time for manners. The Phantom rushes into the cab that Kit had on standby.
Al, take it easy. I'm a friend of Kit Walker's.
Oh yeah, a friend. You know, I'm gonna just say this by your very distinct voice and the fact that you kind of look like him, build and everything. You're Kit Walker. But before the cab can take off, a police officer opens the door in an attempt to arrest the Phantom. So he makes his way out and steals the police horse. That just got you in even more trouble. Especially if that horse is a diabetic. They chase after the horse on motorcycles, which shouldn't have been that big of a chase. But he runs off into the zoo and ditches them there.
Get him!
Sure. In Drax's car, Sala is gloating to Diana that the Phantom would be dead by now.
What is wrong with you? Why are you so mean? Don't you care about anything?
Yeah, why are you bad guys so mean? The cab arrives just as Diana, Drax, and all of them are about to take off in that plane.
Hey, pal! Give my best to Mr. Walker, huh?
You really can't tell? Like, come on. I mean, I get that there's whole secret identities and whatnot, but come on. The Green Lantern has a better disguise. The Phantom is able to get to the plane and hold on outside as the plane is going until they get to an island at the Devil's Vortex. Seems a little far-fetched, but you know what? Whatever. This plane situation worked out better than him on a boat. As soon as they land in the water, the Phantom jumps off. And because of the fact of his ridiculous feat of strength holding on for that long, his muscles stiffen up, are pretty much useless, and he drowns. Oh, I'm sorry. That was reality. Let's get back to the movie. They go into this cave and they find a dwelling.
Let's get him!
With ninja pirates! Oh yeah. They made a Ninja Pirates movie I'd watch. One of these pirates takes a liking to Diana. Sala's jealous. She thinks she's hotter. But Quill steps in, shows his tattoo that he is a member of the Brotherhood. So they take them in.
I think us girls should stick together.
Really? She turned you good by calling you mean? Like you're a career criminal. You didn't know that what you do is mean? Is this what inspired Taylor Swift? They take him inside to the great Kabai Singh, leader of the Singh dynasty, played by Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa. Xander Drax tells them that they have two of the skulls, and if they combine it with the one they have, the gold skull, they would have immense power. And he offers a partnership with him.
You have no bargaining power with me, Mr. New York City.
And your soul is mine.
Besides, you don't have a full skull.
Fourth? What's the fourth one made of? Pearl? Opal? Diamond? Platinum? AstroTurf. This fourth skull is apparently the one that controls the power of the other three. Like, without it, I guess the power is just double OC. One of the gangsters there, Charlie Zeffro, played by David Proval, tries to come in and assert his dominance as a mob boss. That was worse than when he pissed off Janice Soprano. Quill tries to get on Kabai Singh's good side, by announcing that not only is he a member of the Brotherhood, but that he himself has killed the Phantom before.
Join the club. Many of us have killed him over the years.
I thought he already did join the club. Isn't that what the tattoo is about? Drax tells them they have the Phantom's love.
Phantom has good taste.
Sort of. Christy Swanson's hot, but, as long as she doesn't speak. Just then, the Phantom finally swings into action. Literally swings into action. And not only does he swing into action, but Diana and Sala start fighting on the side of him. Sala proving once and for all that if you ever encounter somebody who is a bad person, a criminal, a thug, trying to rob you or hurt you, all you do is say, "Hey, quit being so mean." And that will fix them. The Great Kabai and the Phantom have a good old-fashioned sword fight.
My fight!
I can't help but wonder why these henchmen always stay so loyal in these movies. The Great Kabai has the Phantom dead in his tracks! Finish him! Fatality. But now the Phantom has to deal with the rest of the Brotherhood. I swear the writer was writing this while watching cartoons. To get out, the Phantom finds a torpedo that Diana and Sala can get inside of.
Those are like warheads. If we hit anything, we're fish food.
He says he's going to use the periscope to make sure it doesn't hit anything. I would just be like, can we try something else? As he's getting ready to launch... Yeah, he forgot about Quill and Drax. As the Phantom is fighting off Quill, the three skulls combined. Quill is getting beaten, so he's crying out to Drax for help.
What is it?
That wasn't very helpful. Drax is amazed by the power he holds with these three skulls.
Who needs a fourth skull?
I do.
Phantom says he has the fourth skull. He's had it all his life. For protection. Yeah, it's his ring. And the skulls fight! May the Schwartz be with you. But here's the thing, it doesn't just blow up Drax and the skulls. While this is going on, not only does the Phantom launch a torpedo, but he grabs onto a chain and goes underwater with it, making it to the surface, not hitting anything, and him being fine, not drowning, even though he was being dragged in that much water. But you know what? Nothing in this movie has been realistic, so let's not start now.
We made it!
Yeah, but now you got a really long swim ahead of you. Now they go back to the Phantom's home, and the Phantom is telling Diana about the legacy of the Phantom. It has been going on for 400 years. Father to son, father to son.
And one day your own son will take your place.
And that's what he needs you for.
Goodbye, devil. Take good care of your master.
Sorry, Kit. She goes outside to a plane where Sala is waiting, but before she leaves, she wants to see the Phantom's face. But he says he's only allowed to unveil his face to one person.
The woman I intend to marry.
And Sala, who's like 10 feet away from you.
Goodbye.
Ouch. But as Diana and Sala start flying away, which I'm going to assume is back to New York, where Sala is going to go to prison because even though she's had a change of heart, let's face it, she was still a criminal. The Phantom's father narrates that even though Diana is leaving now, in her own mind, she has already promised that she will someday return to the Bengala jungle, to the Phantom.
Maybe then I can get some rest.
So there you have it. That's a 1996 classic, The Phantom. This movie definitely underperformed as they were hoping, as it had a $45 million budget and did about $23.5 million in the box office. Not what they were hoping for. They have since, of course, made their money back through video and DVDs, but it kind of put the kibosh on plans. Kind of like The Shadow and The Rocketeer before it, they took an old-timey 1930s type character and decided they were going to try this out and make several movies with it. In fact, Billy Zane was signed on to do 3 Phantom movies. But because of its poor performance, they never went through with the next movie. As far as its reviews, it goes back and forth, but the overall feel is that a lot of critics like it for its nostalgia, but do feel it's kind of hokey and one-dimensional. I can't disagree with that, but the hokiness to me is part of its charm. Billy Zane was excited to get this part, mainly because he was a big fan of the Phantom comic books. And when he got this part, he was determined to be in shape for that costume. He pumped iron like crazy to get himself in that shape. They had actually made 2 suits for the movie. One that had fake muscles on it, but by the time they were ready to film, they didn't need it. The one thing they did need to do, though, the cowl of the Phantom was so tight that Billy Zane could not fit his head into it until he shaved his head. Now, there was one scene where Billy Zane takes the cowl off and you see his face. They shot that in reverse because they basically did all of the Kit Walker scenes where he was without the mask, obviously with his hair, and then he shaved his head, and that's when they filmed all the Phantom scenes. Okay, yes, it was kind of cheesy and hokey, but honestly, I think one of my favorite things about this was the performance of Billy Zane, who almost didn't get the part. They had also considered Bruce Campbell and Dolph Lundgren for this part. Bruce Campbell, I could have seen that. Dolph Lundgren, no, that would have been weird. I am the Phantom, I must break you. Bruce Campbell probably would have been cool, but I think it went to the right person. Not only did the casting almost go differently for the Phantom, but for the part of Sala, both Jenny McCarthy and Jennifer Lopez auditioned for that role. Then again, Sala was, in my opinion, kind of a very useless character, so I really don't care who played her. Not a big Catherine Zeta-Jones fan. In my opinion, the only thing she's ever done that's really impressed me was The Mask of Zorro. Then she killed that when she made Legend of Zorro, but that wasn't just her fault. But I will say, I don't think I could have seen Jenny McCarthy playing Sala. Jennifer Lopez, sure. Funny that they were all dead set on Christy Swanson, who, I will give them this, in the mid-90s, she was like that hot ticket name actress that they were trying to put in all these movies, and then eventually cooled because, like this movie and most of the other movies they put her in, they didn't do too well. Mainly because, not trying to be mean, but Christy Swanson, in my opinion, wasn't much of an actress. Like, honestly, in my opinion, in this movie, she was the most hokey. Her acting was very one-dimensional in this movie, very cartoonish in this movie. Then again, I don't know if that's her fault or the dialogue, but either way, the character of Diana could have been played by pretty much anyone. Billy Zane was the one that made the Phantom. Funny enough, this wasn't their first attempt at making the Phantom as a movie. There was almost a 1970s version of the Phantom that would have starred Adam West. That would have been awesome. Not only would that have been awesome, but that might have made some money, because back in the 70s, they could deal with a hokey script like this. To them, comic books were hokey. But we were getting into the mid-90s, we were getting to the point that we were like, okay, can you please start taking the comic book movies seriously? They still wouldn't for about another 4 or 5 years, but we kind of had to take what we could get. Not only was there almost different casting choices, but directing-wise. Both Joel Schumacher and Sam Raimi were considered for the directing role in this. I don't think I would have minded Sam Raimi. He did a great job later with Spider-Man. Joel Schumacher probably would have ruined this. He probably would have been focusing too much on putting nipples on the Phantom. Besides, he didn't have time to direct the Phantom. He was too busy around that time ruining Batman. Either way, though, yes, I do agree that the movie is hokey, one-dimensional, cartoonish, and cliche, but there was just something about it. It just had a charm. Not just the charming Billy Zane. The movie itself just has a charm, and again, this is just the way comic book movies were back then. They weren't taken that serious. They were given a budget to try to appeal to kids and see what you can get. As an early teenager in 1996, I did like it. I didn't admit to people I liked it, but I did like it. Watched it several times. And as an adult, I get a nice nostalgic feel watching this movie. So on that note, if you're a fan of old-timey comic book things and nostalgia, then I definitely recommend you check out The Phantom. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of The Phantom. Love you guys.